if I'm sitting back or I feel like, bring me a beer. No. There. Yeah, I think that's good. Cool.
Hello.
I'm excited. I don't know if you noticed my parachute dress pants.
Welcome to another day, a Tuesday. You are looking alive on a Tuesday. Today's show is brought to you by the Masters of Business Creation at the University of Utah. Do you want help growing a startup company? Enroll in the Master of Business Creation program at the University of Utah's David Eccles School of Business, a top-ranked school for entrepreneurship. It's available online or in person and mixes practical support with a professional degree. Learn more and apply to the Master of Business Creation at eccles.utah.edu/MBC. That's eccles.utah.edu/MBC. We have an incredible guest today, the great Brandy Vega.
Dun, 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 dun. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Fantastic. I'm so happy to be here.
That's good.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you. Garrett, why don't you do one of your cool guest intros?
Brandy drove all the way from Tremonton.
I did. That shows you how much I love you.
Wait, you live in Tremont?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's beautiful there.
It is. And I've got about 5.5 acres up there. It's beautiful. We have big dogs everywhere.
Oh my, yeah, why are you here? Why aren't you
Because
just
I
doing
love
that?
business. I know.
Idyllic.
This is my happy place. I mean, that's my happy place too.
Yeah.
Talking about business, you've got a lot of pokers in the fire. You've got Vega Media Studios and a
Mhm.
new company, Dan Can, which I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah.
And then a big, important project called Promise to Live. Three big things going on.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. I feel so blessed every day. I'm like, wow, I get to work on all three of these really important things that have a purpose and a vision and a mission. And I just wake up every day with this sense of urgency to get things done and a passion that keeps me energized. Because I have people saying, how do you have the energy? How are you at all these places? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just excited to do it. And I love everything I'm doing. I know it's important.
So which one came first?
Vega Media Studios came first. That's kind of my background. From the time I was 10 years old, I was like, you know what? I was watching the news, and I didn't come from a whole lot. Broken home, you know, we sometimes didn't have food. It was a little bit rough. But I was watching the news, and I thought, that looks like a really cool job. They get to tell stories. They're on TV. They're
You get to
doing
dress nice.
Yeah, you get to wear red sweaters and whatever, suits at the time. So that was always my dream. And I started in junior high and high school, like on the media team. And then I was thinking, well, I'm just going to go to college. And when I was a senior, I got a phone call from the Marine Corps. And the Marines said, Brandy, what are you going to do with your life? I said, I'm going to be a reporter. They said, do you know we have that in the military? I had no idea because I didn't grow up around the military. I didn't know anything about it at all. But I'm open-minded. I always have been. I said, yeah, I'll come meet with you. And then I was driving around trying to find this recruiter. I was so naive. I didn't know the difference between the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. I just thought they were all kind of the Army. And so I pulled up to the recruiting. I saw it. I'm 30 minutes late. I come running in. I'm like, sorry, I'm late for our appointment. What's your name? Sit down. I went to the Army recruiter instead of the Marines. If I would have been really lucky that day, I would have went to the Air Force, but I wasn't quite that lucky. And long story short, I ended up graduating high school 6 months early, joined the Army as a broadcast journalist and public affairs specialist. And then I was reporting for Fox News at just 20 years old. So it was pretty cool.
Whoa. That's incredible.
It was fun.
What was that experience like? How long were you doing that?
I worked in TV news off and on from the time I was 20 till about 35. So for about 15 years, I worked in media and TV, and I loved it. I loved the adrenaline. I loved the stories. It was everything I hoped it would be. I didn't know about the bad pay and the bad hours and the backstabbing and, just some of the non-glamorous sides we don't talk about. And so there was a time where I was doing a story, and my news director at the time, it wasn't anybody in Utah, wanted me to really sensationalize a story and change it up and make it sound bad. And I said, I'm not willing to do that. And so for me, it was kind of an integrity thing. I thought, no, you don't get to tell me what to do to put on my reputation when it's my face, it's my voice, it's my interview, and you want me to say something that's not true. I'm not going to do it. And so I ended up getting out of TV for that reason.
That's
Good for you.
cool.
It's been good.
Of all the real stories that you covered, which one was the biggest or the most impactful to you?
Gosh, well, I did get to interview President George W. Bush. That was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Over during September 11th, I was deployed in Kosovo overseas. And so that was kind of a cool one. The one here locally was Josh Powell, Susan Powell. You guys remember that story where he murdered his children and they never found his wife. And I was on that one pretty deep for a while. And I remember one morning, I worked the morning show. I loved the hours. I was there from 2 or 3 in the morning till whatever time. And I was actually out front of Josh Powell's house the day that he loaded up the U-Haul and moved. And I was the only one out there in my news van. And he came walking out with this U-Haul and he was loading stuff. And he looked at me and I said, Josh, where's your wife? And he's just like, no comment. And I said to him, I said, we all know you killed her. Where is she? We know you did it. And just the look on his face, like, I guess it just felt good to me to be able to say that to him before he left. And maybe he knew that or felt that. But I got myself into trouble because I have a little bit of a big mouth sometimes. Like we had a murderer who had just shot 2 people and they were doing what they call the perp walk. And so I was out there and this guy is just arrested for murder. And the media is all out there. And he looks over and he starts doing kissy faces at me. He's like, hey, baby, this kind of stuff. And I said, wow, you're in a really good mood for just killing some people. And he's like, yeah, you're next. And then I was like, oh, I better watch my mouth. I got to watch it. So it was fun.
Hopefully he's still locked up.
I hope so. I don't even remember him. But it's kind of, it's been fun.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Josh Powell? I don't even know. What's the end of that story?
So he ended up seeing his kids, and he had them in Washington.
Oh, is this a really bad story?
Yeah, and he took their lives, and he died too. So he murdered them, and then he blew up his house, and so he died.
I regret asking you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's so dark. Let's talk about happy things.
So you left media and then, or you left news media, and then you started Brandy or Vega Media Studios.
Yeah, so I've been doing freelance. I freelance for quite a few different companies, and I was doing all this different work and I was working for companies. And then finally I was like, you know what? If I can build somebody else's company, why can't I build my own company? It was like this belief. I didn't know what was possible because I'd always worked for somebody. So finally I was like, I could probably start my own company. And actually, it was a chance encounter. I've been doing humanitarian work all my life. I was in Greece doing a humanitarian mission for the refugees that were displaced there. And I was in refugee camps, and I met Dick Winwood. And Dick was a partner with Hiram Smith and Richard Godfrey, and they were some of the originals in Franklin Covey.
Mm.
And they were starting a new company. And so when I met him there, he said, well, what are you doing? I said, I do media. He said, well, we've got this new company. We want to do a project. And so I convinced him to hire me. And I built a studio to do all of their projects. And that was in 2014, 15. Where are we at? 2017. My goodness. Is it really 24 right now?
It is.
So I've had it for 7 years officially, my studio.
And Franklin Covey uses it for like their education stuff that they do, like the courses?
They've been in there, but not a contract through me. They've been in through another company. But we did stuff with, the company was called Three Gaps with Hiram Smith before he passed away, and with Richard. And then it took new ownership. And actually, we only ended up doing 3 videos. I was supposed to be doing all their videos. That's why I built the studio. And then it just didn't happen. But it was the best mistake I ever made. Because I don't know that I would have built the studio if I didn't have the contract. And then the contract fell apart. But I was building the studio, and it just became a really great resource and tool. And it's been profitable and successful since day one. We survived a pandemic and everything.
Where is the studio?
In Salt Lake City,
Okay.
off of North Temple and just west of Redwood by the airport.
And so people rent it out, or they contract you to help basically go in there and you kind of produce it all?
Yeah, we can do A, B, or C. I mean,
Yeah.
if clients come in and they just want to produce their own content, they can rent my studio, which is awesome because it's a full big studio. We did a commercial for Granite Credit Union last week, and we had a couple of cars in there. It's big enough, ground level, you can drive in. So we're producing that for them. I bring in the entire team. We do it from start to finish, from concept to delivery. So you guys will be seeing these running in the media everywhere soon, and billboards and radio ads. But sometimes companies just come in and they just want to rent the space, and we do that too. And sometimes we just fill in the gaps. But I love production. I've been doing it professionally for almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time. That just means I'm old.
No.
And I started young, 17.
For most of our lives, it's been fairly easy to know what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
Getting progressively harder to know what's real and what's not. And that might be the reason for DanCan.
Yeah. So having worked in media and TV for so long, I mean, when I was in the military, and we talked about this, I actually got to work at the War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which was really cool, with people, global leaders like Don Rumsfeld and Condi Rice and General Shinseki, just a bunch of global leaders, excuse me, at the time. And we were talking 20 years ago about the dangers of manipulated media. And this was before we had all the developments and technology we have now, which is fantastic. I love AI for a lot of things. But in a world where every hour it's changing, you can no longer tell with advancing AI, manipulated media, synthetic media, deep fakes, what's real and what's fake. In fact, there was a competition called a Deep Fake Detection Challenge a couple of years ago. They brought in 2,000 of the world's best of the best. They had $1 million prize. They brought everybody in there, and the whole goal was to spot the fake stories, the fake video. Of that group, the number one person got 65%. And these are the world's leading experts. So, and it's become even more challenging since then. So while it's virtually impossible to tell what's fake, we have a technology that can tell what's real 100% of the time if people authenticate their content before they release it. So we can authenticate videos, audio, photo, anything that you're putting online. If you authenticate it before you go in there, we have an authentication tool that you can put on your site, or you can go to our site, isitreal.ai or is it fake, and you drag and drop. And if anybody has edited your content, we're talking 1 pixel, 1 frame, any metadata, we will show that it's been altered or edited. So this is really important for people who are worried about reputation management and the truth out there, because there's so much blackmail. There's sextortion, there's financial fraud, there's crimes. I mean, there was a story, I think about a week or two ago, where a deep fake video of a CFO caused a company to lose $25 million. So it's just going to get worse and worse as technology progresses to know what's real. Is the phone call, is a voice on the other end really my daughter or my mother? Or is it somebody who's taken my voice and made synthetic audio? And we've done this. You can do it for $1 in 1 minute with an app online and make it sound like anybody. So it's working in elections. It's working in financial institutes. It's working with sextortion, which is a huge one. We're losing a lot of people because the cyber criminals are just so good, and people don't know what the truth is. So I think pretty soon down the road, you're going to have to say, unless I've authenticated it, you can't believe it. The only thing you can believe from me is my authenticated content, and you can validate it on my site and see if it's the original content. If it's not, all bets are off. And I mean, we're talking like even body cams for police officers. Everything can be manipulated now. So it has to be, in fake news and things like that. So we're on a mission for truth, because I don't know if any of you guys have been accused of doing something you didn't do or saying something you didn't say. It's horrible. And it's just going to get so much easier for everyone to say whatever they want to manipulate viewers and votes and anything else.
That's so scary, everything you just said.
I'm sorry. It is scary. It actually is terrifying. Like, I love AI for so many reasons, and deepfake is fun. There was a TikTok account with Tom Cruise, had 10 million followers, and everyone thought it was really him. But, even celebrities are speaking up. They're like, we're not doing these endorsements, but the AI is so good and the deepfake is so good, people think they are. And so buyers are being manipulated, and it's like, well, how do we combat this? The best of the best can't spot what's fake, so you're going to have to just authenticate what's true and real. That's what
and
we
so
do.
you've built technology where they can go in, authenticate their stuff, and then if it's ever manipulated ever, it's clear through your process that that's happened.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty
That's
exciting.
very needed.
That's right. So when others can't tell what's true, Dan can authenticate. Dan can validate. When others can't, Dan can. That's kind of our thing. Dan can. We know. And so it's going to be important that we do that. And this is new technology. I actually just started talking openly about it this past month. I wanted to make sure we have our systems in place and our team and that we're ready, because there's such a need for it that I already have people who are finding it and coming to me and saying, we want to know more. And I entered into a pitch contest. I got top 6 for the founders and funders of 100 or something. And then I did a national one with Warrior Rising. And I'm in the top 10. I compete next month for,
Oh, cool.
Dan can. Yeah, in a national competition. So we'll
That's
see what
very
happens.
cool. Speaking of scams, sometimes we do news, Brandy.
I like news, as you know.
Yeah, I tried to find something that because I wasn't familiar with Dan Can. Now, I think this is a good little story here. Not good, but it's called from KSL, Unmasking the Fast-Moving Pig Butchering Scam Hitting Utah. Pig butchering is a devastating combination of romance and crypto scams, and it's taking Utahns for all they're worth. Scammers use
What an opening line.
social engineering to bring in their victims. Then those victims are fattened up with fake investment returns until the scammers move in for the kill, including let's do a little payout just to show that it's true.
Yeah.
And then once there's no more money to come in, they take it all.
This is so intense how they wrote this. It said, over time, the scammer fattens up their victim by pushing them to pay bigger and bigger investments. And when the victim has no more money to put in, no more loans they can take out, they're slaughtered.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was looking at this pig butchering, I'm like, gosh, that's gross. It's kind of this grotesque title. But I read the article too. I'm so glad that I read this, because now I can speak to it. It really is devastating, because they're getting in there, and it reminded me a little bit of a big Ponzi scheme that we had here in Utah with Galen Rust, who was running this silver scheme.
That coin thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to buy his studio a few years ago. Huge studios. Anyway, I want to do a documentary on that. That's a whole nother story. But it reminded me of that because what these scammers are doing is they're sliding into your DMs, they're sliding into your private messages and into your world, and they're building this authentic feeling relationship. And then it's like, oh, hey, what do you guys know about crypto? Do you guys invest anything? You know, and it's a friendship, right? Well, how do you make your money? I make a ton of money doing this. You want to try it? Well, I could help you out. You're acting like a friend. Yeah, I'll help you out here. They give $100 and then they show them these fake accounts and reports showing that your money is growing. And they might even send you a first payout if they know that that's like the bait to get you for the big one. And that's really what they do. These scammers do. And so they're going in, and some of them are love interests and some of them are just financial and platonic friends, but they bait you, they hook you, and they steal your money. It's horrible.
Gosh, this morning is so intense.
It's a rough world out there.
I came in with bright colors to like brighten the mood, and I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer.
I wonder if I'm getting scammed. I have a lot of online girlfriends. Do you think that's bad? I've never met any of them.
Do you think that's bad?
I mean, I just admitted to it on live, whatever this is.
Well, I also listened to another report yesterday. My friend sent it to me because they know that I'm in all this world. And it was this mom calling her daughter, and she's like, whatever the daughter, Heather, my car broke down. I'm with the tow truck. I need you to Venmo me or PayPal or Cash App or Zelle. I mean, there's 20 ways, right? You can do it now. I need you to send me this money to pay the tow truck driver. Well, Mom, shouldn't your insurance? I know, but they're not going to be able to do it right now. And the girl's getting ready to send the money because she hears her mom's voice. And then it's like, you have to be wary because this is a scam. So they're like, hang up. This is what the video is teaching you. Hang up, call your mom. She calls her mom. Mom's like, I'm fine. But you know those calls you get where you're like, hello, anybody there? Hello.
Mm-hmm.
They're recording your voice so that they can send it to people within your phone because they're able to hack into your phone. And then they're sending these pleas for money or whatever it is. And it's not ridiculous, but it's, they're making lots of money this way.
This is crazy.
No good.
Yeah.
But we got the white hats going after the black hats now, it sounds like, through companies
What does
like
that mean?
yours.
You know
Yeah,
what
I
that
don't
means?
know. I'm like white
The
hats.
white
like,
hats are the
isn't that
good
bad?
guys.
Oh, okay.
Black hats are the bad guys.
Okay.
So
This sounds like a good career path for you, actually. To
What
be
do
a
you
scammer.
Oh,
Garrett would be a great scammer. Just buddy up to someone.
Well, check your text messages. I've been sending you some really good
Yeah.
crypto
do you
advice.
know that there's like actual call centers overseas that this is all they do? They hire people and their job is to be cyber criminals, either in love schemes or in these kind of schemes or crypto. That's their whole job. They put it on their resume, and you go and there's this entire huge call center with people that's whole jobs is to figure out how to take our money.
Can you imagine that day of work?
Oh, gosh.
Clocking. First of all, call center, I did that job for a number of years when I was going to college. Oh my gosh, that sucks. Add on
Never had that.
Add on the scamming people out of their money, and you leave for the day, and you must be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Hopefully they feel bad.
You would feel I mean, I think you'd feel so slimy, and they pretend they don't. But there's this great Netflix, I can't remember what it's called, but this reporter, she risks her life all the time to do things like she interviewed assassins, like real assassins, and she goes and they go undercover and she asks them questions about why they do what they do and if they feel anything. And there's like this 4-part series. I don't know if it was on Netflix or Hulu, but I watched it and I was just blown away to learn some of these things. It blows my mind because normal people, we're kind of normal. We don't see this side. We don't think people are out to take advantage and scam us, but it's happening more and more, and it's getting easier and easier, and that's why we got to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we're doing with DanCan. It's like we have to educate, especially people like our parents. Some of these baby boomers, they have no idea. They lived in a world where I remember September 11th, I'm deployed over in Kosovo. I'm running a broadcast team. I'm sitting in my office trying to meet a deadline. One of my soldiers comes running over. Sergeant, the Twin Towers just got hit by a plane. I'm like, what? Come watch. So we're watching it on TV. And as we're watching it unfold, I'm sitting with one of my commanders and the building collapses. And I just remember this sickening, sinking feeling. And Tom Brokaw says, America's now at war. And my commander says, I hate how the media sensationalizes everything. I was like, this is one time they're not. When we're being attacked by enemies that we can't identify, that are hidden, we are at war. And we're at war right now just as much as we were at any other time in history with cyber criminals and cyber attackers that are coming after. And we have to not only educate, but we have to protect ourselves. That's part of my mission.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the barbarians are at the gate, and they're not going anywhere.
No.
Well, for everyone's sake, I hope you guys do well with the pitch competitions and the funding or whatever comes after this. Because
what's your website for DanCan?
It's DanCan, DANCAN. That stands for Digital Authentication Network, Certified Non-Negotiable.ai. So we're building this out. I mean, a lot of what we will be doing is with companies. You'll have your own sign in, your own portal, and then you'll upload content. So we're really hoping to get to companies who care about reputation management and who are being the victims of deepfake. I mean, I'd love to talk to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'd love to talk to political parties. So yeah, there's the website. I have a video on there that I created for our pitch contest. This was for the Warrior Rising. So there's a 5-minute video on there you can watch, and it kind of explains what the problem is and how we address it. Because it's unfortunate that we had to create this company. It really is. It kind of sucks that there's even a need for this, but there is, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as time progresses.
This could actually be a really big company.
Yeah, you're looking at a future billionaire sitting here.
Yeah,
I just hope you know
my
that.
word.
I'm just manifesting that.
There you go.
Yeah, it does have a lot of implications, and we're working with some other technology that's really incredible to help with like wire fraud, to help with content or user authentication. So going on these social media platforms, we're talking to a social media platform about authenticating their users. You get on there and then we're going to know, like, we don't have to broadcast who it is, but we authenticate it on the back end, and it's on a global distributed network. It's non-negotiable. We're going to know who's behind the keyboard, who's behind that. So there's lots of potential with the technology that we've developed to do things that have to deal with bigger subject matters like financial fraud and user authentication, voter authentication. There's a lot of implications and things that we can do with this technology.
Yeah, do you think you'll have that ready by the election?
It's ready.
So that it's,
Yeah, it's operational.
So no like voter fraud this time, Garrett.
Hey, I'm not involved in that. Please don't blame me. We're not doing anything with it. But if there are companies out there that want to talk to us, I'm open to that conversation. But we can definitely authenticate anything that you're putting up. Like if you're putting up pictures, video, photo, audio, and there's another play as we dive deep in. And, you know, my team's like, Brandy, you got to stay focused because I'm a visionary. I'm always like, well, we could do this and this and this. And they're like, hey, bring it back in. Because there is so much we can do, but even talking about piracy, digital piracy with movies and with videos and things like that, we have a solution. So I'm excited. It is really going to blow up, and I feel like this is the company that will pave the way for the future. Vega has been a great company, and it still is. We work with clients like Lifespan Fitness, one of my favorites. I do their treadmill under my desk every day, and we've got Granite, and we've got some of these other clients that are fantastic. We do a lot with Promise to Live there, and we're doing our videos with DanCan. So for me, it's like this beautiful blending of I have it all in one place because they all kind of complement each other. But DanCan really has a global reach and global importance.
Yeah. By the way, I wasn't suggesting that Garrett committed voter fraud,
But
but I'm also not suggesting that he didn't. Like,
hey, this is Garrett reminding you to vote on Tuesday.
Like
and
that
he voted
flood.
7 times. It's so weird.
You know that flood at the voting center? Was that in Michigan or something, or Georgia? That was Garrett. Garrett caused that flood. He's like, I want Biden to win.
Blame
Let's
Garrett.
flood it.
Can we just start a campaign that's called Blame Garrett?
Act of God, just like canals bursting, all of that.
BlameGarrett.com.
Blame
Go
Garrett.
there now.
For anything. Do you have a problem at home? Blame Garrett.
I'm used to it.
Your
Bring it.
promise to live thing is how we got connected.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable. And there's such a need for that. Maybe the biggest need that you're working on actually is this. And, you know, in the tech community, in the startup community, in the business community here in Utah, and really in all of our communities here in Utah, mental health is such a huge issue.
It is.
We're seeing anecdotally I've heard more suicides over the past 2 years than ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's anecdotally, though. I don't know what the actual numbers are. But
The
tell us
numbers
about,
have gone up.
have they?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. So I get emotional, like even just having you talk about that, because as many people know, I almost lost my child. I almost lost her the first time at 12. And I was a single mom. I was running my studio. I was doing all this thing. And the judgment as an entrepreneur, it's like, well, if you were a stay-at-home mom, maybe if you were married, maybe, all the stigma and the things that we tell ourselves. So the first time it happened, we kind of kept it as a dark secret for 2 years with the hope that it wouldn't happen again. And 2 years later, thankfully, her friend had the courage to call 911, and we found my daughter before it was too late. And when we got to primaries, they didn't even have a bed for her. They had had so many kids from 8 to 18 who had tried to end their life. And it was just devastating. I was in the room and I remember just breaking down. I'm like, how are we here again? I actually taught suicide prevention like 15 years ago with the former attorney general because I know the signs to look for. I'm a suicide prevention advocate. How in the world is this happening to me again with my own child? And you talk about, again, the fear and just feeling like a failure, that if I open up about this, people are going to think I am such a horrible mother that my own child would rather be dead than be with me, which is a lie. Total lie. But I remember, we didn't know for a while if she was going to pull through. And we didn't know if she pulled through, if there were going to be long-term effects. And I was in there trying to figure it out. And I was praying and praying. And finally, I volunteered at the hospital. I love humanitarian work. I find hope and purpose in serving and helping other people. So I had been volunteering at IHC Medical on 54th for 7 years, doing Nobody Dies Alone. I would sit and hold people's hands if they were alone and they were going to pass. So we don't come into the world alone. We shouldn't go out alone. I did that program for 7 years. I did spiritual care, kind of like a chaplain. And it's different when you're sitting there looking at your child and you see him in pain and you see him struggling. And I got to my car and I just did this video and I was like, I said, I need help. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure if she's going to make it. If she does, where do I go? Some of you have been through it. Please help. And that video on my personal Facebook page went viral, had over 12,000 views overnight. I woke up to hundreds of messages from people in our community that I would have never have thought, who said, Brandy, I struggle, or I lost my husband or my mom or my son. And I was just like, wow, this is a huge problem. And I was praying to God, like, please just save her. I'll do anything. Why am I going through this again? What, you try to say, why do things not happen to me? Why is this happening for me? Positive thinking. And I heard this message loud and clear, very clear, as if you were talking to me, that said, Brandy, I'll give you a second chance. There won't be a third. What are you going to do? And I was like, I'll do anything. What do I need to do? What are we supposed to do? I have my production company. I have my studio, Vega Studios. I have a nonprofit called Good Deed Revolution. I was like, what do I need to do? And shortly after that, my child woke up. And I was holding her hand and I said, are you glad you're alive, or do you wish you would have died this time? And she said, Mom, I didn't really want to die. It was just too late. A few weeks later, I went to my friend's 16-year-old son's funeral, and I saw my kid laying there. And I mean, this has been a process, and people don't want to die. They don't want to die. They just want to kill what's hurting them. They want to find a way to stop the pain. And so that's kind of what I discovered during this process. So I went back to my studio and I pulled my team and I said, what resources are out there? And everything was scattered, and it made me a little crazy. It was like, oh, go to this site, this company does this. And I was like, how did I not know any of this stuff? And so I made it our mission to find all the resources and try to put them in one place. And then we created an event and we did that. It was called Live Live at first. And I skipped a step. So what happened after that video went viral, my friends at NBC called and they said, because I worked in news, my background, I have a lot of friends that are in media. And they said, Brandy, will you share your story about your child? I said, no. I don't want to talk about that. You want me to share the worst part of my life, my biggest pain? It's too private and personal. No, I will not share it. But it was shortly after that conversation that I heard, I'll give you a second chance. What are you going to do? 2 weeks later, they called me back and they said, Brandy, this is a huge problem. Nobody will talk about it. Like, we're losing people left and right and nobody will talk to us. Will you please reconsider? And I heard that repeating over in my mind. And I thought, if I'm terrified, and I've been on TV for 15 years, this has been my career. I'm on camera. I talk to groups. I'm a speaker. If I'm terrified, what does a normal person or parent feel like? And if not me, who? And so I reluctantly did the interview. And I just said, if you're watching, and I would challenge everyone. Every time I get to tell this story, I want to say the same thing to you. If you're watching or listening, stop what you're doing and ask your kids, your spouse, your loved one, your team. Just ask them point blank. How are you doing? Are you feeling suicidal? Don't beat around the bush. Honest questions get honest answers. And you're not going to plan an idea. Studies tell you that. So don't worry about, if I ask somebody if they're feeling suicidal, maybe they weren't, now they will be, and then it's my fault. No, it's not your fault. Like, either they are or they aren't. And when you ask somebody an honest question, they're going to either say, yeah, or no, I'm not. And right after the news story aired, I had this father and he reached out and he said, you just saved my daughter's life. I said, what do you mean? He said, I saw your story. I went into my daughter's room. She had already written her note. She was in the process of trying to end her life. We're at the hospital right now. Thank you.
Wow.
And shortly after that, I got another message from a family who said, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story on the news. We watched it. We talked to our son, and he confessed he had a plan to end his life this weekend. We're getting him help. So that was almost 3 years ago. Actually, this week will be the 3rd anniversary of the time I almost lost my daughter. And I'm happy to report she's doing great right now. She's graduating high school a year early, incredible artist. She's going to college. She has a scholarship. She has a positive outlook. I'm so proud of her. But it's hit me hard because I'm like, gosh, as a parent, my kid's going to college and I'm so proud, but I'm also sad she's leaving a year early. But also in me, I'm just so grateful every day that I got this 3 years with her, because when I looked at her, I didn't think I was going to get that.
Yeah.
So for me, this is my pay it forward. This is why I get up every day with a sense of urgency, because I know lives depend on it. And it's not just our kids. I've been working with Fraternal Order of Police. There was a 7-year-old little boy. I have a 6-year-old who took his life. Like, how do they even know? And then an 80-year-old grandmother, my friend's aunt. So every day, like, the mission is strong and the purpose is needed.
How do people learn more? Where do they go?
Promise to live, the number 2. Sorry, it's twofold. The first promise is for you, and the second part of the promise to live.org is for everyone else. And what we're asking people to do is we're not asking you to promise that you're never going to want to end your life. I mean, I don't know that people can make that promise, but what we are asking you to do is promise, if you find yourself in a dark place, promise to reach out to someone, anyone, a friend, a family member, a trusted resource, or call or text 988. So that's what we're asking people to do. Make the promise to live. And then once you make that, I want people to share it. Share it with your network. When we share, and you know this, Clint, like when we lost our friend, we all lost a friend last year and it hurt. Mm-hmm. And I almost lost another friend last week. Every day I get calls and messages because I'm a safe place, because I've been vocal, because I'm doing something. But when you share that you're an advocate or an ally, people will reach out. And so, we ask people to make the promise to live for yourself. And then second, share it for the people around you. Share the promise. Ask them to make it with you, because we need each other. The biggest thing right now, I'm doing a deal with MTV for Mental Health Action Day, May 16th. We're one of their partners, and they want connection. They want connection more than anything. There was a survey done in the news this week, 13 to 17-year-olds. They said, what's the biggest issue? They said, we don't feel connected. We don't feel like anyone cares. We don't have friends. Nobody wants to listen to us. And that's not just kids. I think a lot of us might feel that way sometimes. So we're really trying to create connection. And thank you for allowing us to do that at Silicon Slopes. We have our next Silicon Slopes Promise to Live Mental Health Town Hall, February 29th. These are monthly. Our goal is to get everybody involved. Make the promise, share the promise. We've got the Pocket Hug Project, which is awesome. We're writing letters and we're giving these coins that say, when times are tough and you don't know what to do, here's a hug from me to you. You keep it in your pocket. And then it says call or text 988 if you're struggling. 988's been out a year and a half. And the last study I saw shows only 18% of people know about it. So I'm on a mission to let people know that that is a resource. The pocket thug, that I guess we need to work on that, don't we? But the pocket hug.
Oh, that's awesome.
It says it right on there. It's got our resources, and we love these. I did an event. We gave out 100 of them, and I've had the goal was this. It's a service project. So any of the companies that are listening or groups, here's what we want you to do. We want to give you a pocket hug and a letter. And these letters aren't just a paragraph or a sentence saying you're awesome. These are heartfelt individual letters written with love to give you encouragement, to help you know that you're not alone and that somebody cares enough to spend 10 minutes writing you a handwritten letter, which is rare. Within those, we're putting the coin. And the coin has a website where you can make the promise, but it also has 988. I did an event in December with a women's group. We gave 100 of them out, and I just said, we laid them out on the counter. All of these are unique and individual, just like you. All of them are written with love, and some of them have really different messages. Pick the one that you think is written for you. So they picked them, and then these women, they went and sat and they're reading them, and I saw tears flowing. They're like, how did you know I was struggling? Or how did you know I needed this? And it was just this beautiful moment of everyone reading these letters and feeling like they mattered. And then the project was, now they all had to write 5 letters. They had 5 coins, and they had to give them out by Christmas. One group, 600 lives changed. And we got messages and people from all over the world saying, I got your coin. So it's kind of cool. We want companies to do this.
The old-fashioned way of going viral, and a lot tougher to fake a coin and a handwritten letter.
It is. And if people are, anyone who signs up to come to February 29th, we have that for you. And I hope that they will come. And we've had almost standing room only at all of these events. The need is great.
And I believe if you want to register for that, you can go to siliconslopes.com.
Yep.
But is there other places that they can go?
No, we just run it through you guys as our awesome partner in doing the work. So we're thankful for that.
Yeah, make sure you go to these. They're incredible. What were these streams that were on the Promise to Live site? Tell us about those.
So our very first year, here's where the idea came. I thought if my personal story on KSL could save 2 lives with, 10, 20, 30,000 people that might have seen it, what if we could reach more people? In my background in production, we've done concerts, we've done music videos, we've done a lot of different things. So I thought, what if we could reach 200,000 or 2 million or whatever the number? And I was just a little girl in 1985, but I remembered watching Live Aid and thinking how amazing it was that all these people were coming together around the world for a common cause, and that was for the starving kids in Africa. But I just thought, we come together as a global community when it matters. This matters. It's the number one biggest issue plaguing the planet. So they say it's part of a grand challenge. I sit on the committee, and their number one thing is stop the stigma. So I thought, if I could get singers, dancers, celebrities, influencers, CEOs, survivors, if we could get together and share our personal messages of hope, help, healing, and put the resources out there, how many lives could we touch? So we put together our first show, and we reached around 160,000 people, but we're doing something different. And it takes a while to build, as you know. We weren't trying to just build our own audience. We were like, let's deliver content and information to your built-in audience. So you already have a following on Silicon Slopes. If the celebrities have a following, we wanted to share this live stream to built-in audiences from people they already know and trust you, so they're going to believe if you're saying something. That's what we did the first year. We reached around 160,000. We did it again. It's every September 10th. That's World Suicide Prevention Day. We did our show last year. We reached almost 400,000 people with our show, and we're putting it together this year. We've got 5 pillars of Promise to Live. The first is the campaign, promisetolive.org, making and sharing that. Second is the Promise to Live big live stream show, September 10th. And we are looking for guests. We're looking for singers, sponsors, survivors, all the stuff. We put on a show. So you can watch last year's show on there. We did a kids show, 30-minute show for kids by kids that's age appropriate. We partner with Uplift Families and Resilient You to teach them how to be resilient. We're trying to make everything age appropriate. Then we have a teen show for teens by teens, and an adult show that really brings it in. We had a message from Chris Martin of Coldplay. We had John Voight. I mean, we get some good talent. We get some local talent, and we're just trying to expand. So we're doing the Mesa Music Festival in April. We're the certified charity. It's 20,000 people, largest event there. We're doing the Media and Music Awards in LA coming up. So there's really cool things. You can look on there at our show. We've got great groups, entertainers, messages. We have a message from the piano guys. We've got the Bonners. Like, it's just really, really good. And we're working on that again this year in a social media campaign. So then we have our Silicon Slopes that we're doing with you, which I love, and it has been wonderful. We have our Pocket Hug project, and then we're trying to bridge the gap with resources. My kid tried to end her life 5 days before her appointment. We waited 3 months for. And there's still, I mean, everything is at least 3 weeks to 18 months out to see somebody. And we're just trying to bridge the gap in care with peer-to-peer AI, self-guided connections and support. So that's our other pillar.
That's amazing.
Brandy, thank you for everything you do in the world. And thank you for doing this with us at Silicon Slopes, February 10th, 29th. Everybody go to siliconslopes.com, register for that event. The last one I went to was incredible. You do an incredible job there. I think it's such an important conversation. It's always packed. There's always an incredible group of folks there. So
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for everything you're doing here. And thank you for coming on this show.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for sharing your story.
I appreciate everything you guys do to build community, because we know through community and connection, that's really what matters. You know, when I sat with people and you're holding their hand and they're dying, I sat with the founder of a company. He had 50 stores. He was multimillionaire. I was holding his hand when he passed. That's not the purpose of this life. The purpose of this life is who you bring with you. Who do you love? Who do you lift? Who do you surround yourself with? And so you guys are great at doing that. And thank you for allowing me to do that with you and through you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Pleasure.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. We will see everyone tomorrow. We've got the great Stan Lockhart tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yep.
If you don't know Stan, you'll get to know him tomorrow. Very great man. Remember, today's show is brought to you by Masters of Business Creation at the University of Utah. We will see you tomorrow.